Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Lee White, and today we're going to be going over how to get consistently good artwork. A lot of students write to me saying that one of their problems is they get halfway through a piece or almost all the way finished with an illustration or a painting, and they just don't like it. And or the results are spotty. Sometimes it's a good illustration, sometimes it's a bad one. So the work's sort of up and down. And so how do the pros get good results every single time? There is some tips and tricks I'm going to show you guys. Let's talk about what the problem is first. The problem typically is a lot of people early in their career or students, they go from having an idea to just painting that idea, which makes logical sense if you aren't familiar with the process I'm going to show you guys today. They maybe do a little thumbnail sketch, start painting, and they get halfway through it, and all of a sudden the drawing is bad. Like the hands weren't figured out, or the perspective is bad, or the composition is bad, or any number of things, the values weren't worked out. There's so many things that could go wrong in a painting, and you don't want to be trying to solve getting a good drawing, getting good values, getting good color, all the stuff, even some of the concept stuff, you don't want to be solving that in the final painting. And so typically when students they're excited to start painting, they get halfway through it and they're like, oh, I haven't really worked through this. So typically it's poor planning, that's the problem. And today, for the first time ever, I'm going to show you guys a step-by-step challenge, I guess, is the way that I would describe it. It's a process. And if you go through this process every time you do an illustration, I can guarantee you'll get better results. I can guarantee you'll start liking more of your illustrations, but more importantly, you'll start being more relaxed when you're doing illustrations. If you go straight from a thumbnail sketch to a painting, unless you're a pro, a lot of times that invites a lot of stress for a student. They say, oh my gosh, this is a final one, it's got to be good. And you get halfway through it and you tense up and the drawing looks tense and a little bit awkward. And what this is going to allow you to do is to relax into your process, enjoy each step along the way, and maybe you haven't even heard some of these steps. So let's get right to it. It's pretty easy. Like a lot of things, you break it down, it's pretty easy if you follow this step by step. But like I said, if you follow what I'm going to show you right now, you will immediately get better results. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right into the process I was telling you guys about. We'll zoom in, and I'll make this available. I'm not sure how, but it's a PDF file. It should be pretty easy for me to make available for you guys. It's pretty simple. How to make art that you love. And I'm not going to require you to read all this, but I'll blow it up on screen just so I can go through it, and I'll show you some examples of this. I'll just read through it, might as well. The biggest stumbling block to making consistent high quality images is not having a good process in place. That's what I was saying earlier. Put together a simple technique that will guarantee you good art if you just follow this path. Easy peasy, right? So it really is this easy. The only rule is you have to finish each step before moving forward. That's the big one. That's why it's in bold. Add a checkbox whenever you finish a step. Put an X there if you didn't do it, which I'll talk about in 1 second. If you have all checks by the end, you will have a good image. I promise you that. There's no way to go through all this and not have a good image. So if you have any X's in those boxes there that you see to the left here, you'll know that it maybe didn't go as planned and you're leaving it to chance. This may seem like a lot of steps. That's the first reaction that a lot of students have or a lot of artists have when I show them this. Seems like a lot of steps, but it goes by fast. And more importantly, it's a fun and very low stress way of making art. It allows you to relax and enjoy the process versus fighting your art each step of the way, which maybe it feels like you guys might be doing if you're not loving the art that you do. So step 1 is about research and development. Oh, sorry, let me go back 1 second. The X's, what I want you to do, just real quick, an exercise, think about 4 or 5 pieces that you've done, 3 or 4 pieces that didn't go well. And I want you to think about, as I go through these steps, if you did all of them and which ones maybe you left off. So it's a nice little exercise, especially when I get done with it. Think about a piece that didn't go well, see which part of the process you left off, and then you'll be able to identify why those images didn't go so well. Okay, so it seems like a lot of steps, but this goes by really fast. Most professionals use this sequence. They just might not talk about it, or it may be internal at this point and just part of their flow and methods of work, and so they don't really think about it too much. Step 1 is research and development. This step consists of making mood boards. I use Pinterest a lot. I'm sure all of you guys do too. But it can be anything from gathering writing, gathering anything you want, whatever it's going to be, making notes to yourself. Depending on what it is, you might have to do a lot of reading. I'm working on a book cover right now where my research and development literally is reading the book so I can do the book cover. This is not a drawing phase. This is really just figuring out what is involved in the process and the project. It's about looking at other artists. I was going to show you guys real quick. I did a cover for Ladybug magazine, and it involved a kite. This was a couple of years back, and so this was my mood board I was putting together. I was seeing how other people approached it. One of the things that I go through in the research and development phase is trying to figure out what have other artists done so I can do something different. I don't want to do the same exact thing that other people do, but I'm trying to grab artwork that I like quite a bit, and this is just what a board looked like for that. Like I said, it can be anything. This process is meant to be internalized. You might be different than another person who's listening to this. You might just write in your journal or how it makes you feel or whatever, but you really do want to start with the research and development phase. And if you can, go slow here, enjoy it, kind of look around, look at art that might fit the bill for this kind of an assignment. Just look around a little bit. It's about looking outside you because you're going to be doing a lot of stuff from internal thoughts and your actual drawings and stuff that comes from within. And so you need to fill that space. You need to fill yourself up first to get ready to have output. Input before output, I guess, is an easy way to say that. So that's step one, research and development. If you go through that step and don't do it too fast, just go slow, you make a check. And if you make the check, that means you get to move forward, but you don't move forward unless you get the check. That's the important thing. Don't skip the steps. Step two, 50 thumbnail sketches. You will start by making very loose thumbnail sketches. These sketches are not meant to be nice. They're for exploring ideas and compositions. Do at least 50 to really explore what you want to do. The first 10 are super easy if you do that. Typically, the next 40 are hard, and they get progressively harder as you go. But the important thing is to really just hang in there and not just get something you like, but enjoy the process of making thumbnail sketches. Again, this process is made for two reasons. One, to get good work, but two, to be able to relax into it. If you know you got, a bunch of sketches that you can do, you're not so nervous when you're doing one. Remember, we want to get away from just doing one sketch and then going to finish. That's what's led you to this video. That's what led you to work that you don't like. And so we're trying to change something to get a different outcome. So do 50. Again, it's not that easy if you haven't done it before, but I promise you, the pros do it. And sometimes they get there a little quicker because they know their process a little bit better. But I want to just show you how bad this looks. It's embarrassing to show some of this stuff, but there really is just writing and drawing. I don't want to show them it really much bigger than this because this is really how I'm drawing them. I'm drawing them real small. Like the problem with digital work, this is done in Photoshop, is that you can zoom in and all of a sudden my thumbnail sketches are as big as my screen, and now I'm doing actual drawings. And these are not meant to be drawings, they're just meant to be concepts. So I call them, almost at the thumbnail stage, I call them thinkings, not drawings, and I get better results that way. So I'm just trying stuff on for size, and I did excuse me, probably hundreds of these. This is for a book, and so there's a ton of this kind of work, and just have fun with it. But that's sort of what they look like. Don't put pressure on yourself to make nice thumbnails. This is not Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook. This is yours, and this is meant for your eyes only. I wouldn't go showing your thumbnails around to too many people unless there are other artists and you say, hey, what do you think of this little thumbnail? Typically, other artists can read thumbnails. By the way, most people who aren't artists cannot look at thumbnails. They don't know what they're looking at. It looks like a bunch of scribbles, just like what I just showed you. And so I tend to I don't recommend showing people who aren't artists thumbnails because they don't know really what to do with them. All right, so you have done your 50 thumbnail sketches at least. That's just a starting point. Get something, don't stop until you get something that you really like though. Make your check and move on. Step 3, rough sketches with value. Step 3 is about picking 3 thumbnail sketches, 3 of your thumbnail sketches, and saying, hey, I'm gonna try those on for size. And so you do all 3 of those, and you clean them up a little bit. I typically make these bigger. They're still not meant to be final art though. Don't go nuts with all the details and drawing too much. I try to put a time limit of about an hour to an hour and a half on mine. I do recommend doing these sketches with value. That means adding lights and darks to the image, because an image that's just drawn in line does not look anything like an image does when it's when it has value to it. And so that's a really important concept. And I was going to show you guys real quick, if I can find it, what that process looks like for me. And hold on, I will pause it real quick so I can find it real quick. Hold on. All right, I found it. It was a PDF. I thought I was looking for a Photoshop file, but it was a PDF file. So you can see this, what I have up on screen now. This is for the current book that I'm working on. Now these were some cover comps that I did, but this is kind of what the clean sketch, or excuse me, the rough sketch stage looks like. Sometimes I add color if I really need it here. But the important thing is they're not super finished, but they're good enough where I can show other people. So that becomes the criteria is, these need to be good enough where you can show other people, say, what do you think of these 3 images? Which one is the one that you really like? And which is there any problems with it? Does something not read correctly? And that's where you start making adjustments. It's not like, oh, you just do 3 sketches and then go to finish. You need to get some other opinions, and you need to probably tweak some stuff. So this is typically a couple of drawings through. Once you pick which one you're going to do, you do make those changes and move forward. But once you have 3 rough sketches and you have cleaned one of them up, you make a check and you go on to your color studies. I recommend doing at least 3 to 4 color studies. These are fast. These are not little paintings that are finished. These are just swatches of color. Typically I do them in Photoshop, and they're really fast. I was going to show you real quick what this looks like. All right, so, and you can see some of my mood board. I had some images over here. I don't know, really, I can't remember why I had those over there, but this is the palette that I am using for my next project. And this is for a title page. And so I'm going through these images. It's not drawn very well. You probably don't even know what this is, but it pertains to the story. There's going to be type on the left-hand side of the page. So I just go through and I do a bunch of different versions of this. Again, I'm not trying very hard to make it nice. I'm just seeing kind of where do I want to go with this, or the color, how bright do I want to make it? Do I want to leave the background white? I try all kinds of different options depending on what the content is going to be. And then if it's a book project, also I put it in the layout, and I do color studies for all the pages, and I see, okay, what page is next to this one, and I might need to change some of that color studies as well. But so I go through a bunch of different, they're very, very fast, they're very quick, and you get a quick and easy way to see what the final image is going to look like. So do that step. So you've gone through your research and development, you've gone through your 50 thumbnails, you've gone through your rough sketches with value. Now you've done your color study, check that one off, and you get to move on to your clean sketch. Typically, for me, that just means blowing up my little sketch, my rough sketch, and then putting tracing paper on top of it, doing a clean sketch and scanning that. Or I do it in Photoshop now, typically. And same thing, I just bring my rough sketch into a full-size document. Like if it's going to be a magazine cover, I'll bring it in and 8x10 or whatever that cover is, and blow it up. And then I'll reduce the opacity, and I just draw right on top of it and just get a clean sketch of that. And that's just so you can clean up any little areas that you want to do. Once you do that, check it off the box, just like always. And now step 6, your final painting. This is where the process pays off, because this is where it becomes really easy and you get to relax. How great would it be to do final art that is actually relaxing and not stressful? Or some people just do art and it's relaxing always anyway. How great would it be to go through and really like what you're doing each time you do it? And this is a way to do that. If you've done all those things, there's no possible way you can get to this point and not like it, because your values are set, your composition is set, you picked the right concept, you picked the right layout. All of it has been done, you did the work, and you did it in each stage. That's the other thing I want you guys to notice, is that you're breaking things down. You're not trying to solve composition, color, perspective, all that stuff in one step. You're trying to do it over time. And so again, this looks like it's a lot, but you go through these really, really fast, and each step I kind of think of it being almost like clay. Like you take the take clay out of the box, and it's just a box at first, and the first step is just kind of molding it. Second step is like, okay, I like that shape, and you start carving out some more detailed shapes, and pretty soon you have an actual sculpture. This is the same way. You're starting to whittle away at this bigger idea instead of going from a hazy idea to a super clean drawing or super clean finished painting, and that there's just too big of a gap to jump there. So hope you guys found this helpful. I will try to make this available. It's a pretty easy document. It's not like it's really hard. You can write it down in a notebook yourself, but I'll make this available at least on my website, and so read through the notes and you can find where to get that or download it. So thank you guys for joining me. This is my first YouTube video, and I hope you join me for a lot more. Thanks.